As 2024 is now here and upon us, I thought it might be fun and kind of interesting to go through my exact investing strategy for the next year altogether. Now, over the years, I have always found it extremely important to have a very strict strategy and plan when it comes to investing in the stock markets. And this is because during times of volatility, the ups and downs throughout the years, having a plan and sticking to it specifically has been vital to my success. Now, in this video, I'm going to go through and give you guys a look inside my 7-figure dividend portfolio and explain exactly which stocks and ETFs I plan on buying over the next year, and again explain my exact strategy moving forward. Now, if this interests you at all, make sure to please stick around to the end, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. I just finished my brand new dividend investing ebook where I share exactly how I went from zero to now over 7 figures invested, and also on how I earned more than $6,000 per month in dividends. I also finished my custom dividend tracker that you can use to track your dividend income progress on an ongoing basis. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So this right here is my master dividend tracker for my 7-figure dividend portfolio. And keep in mind, I do have some other portfolios which I've not imported every single position in this dividend tracker as of yet. But as of right now, we're looking at around $60,000 per year of dividends and around $5,000 per month or so. Now, across all my portfolios combined, I am a little bit higher than this. But like I said, I do have some more adding to do. Now, just a side note, if you guys want to download this dividend tracker, it's the first link in my description. And the main reason I came up with a dividend tracker like this is because I have multiple portfolios across different brokerages, and I thought it'd be very helpful to see everything in one place, every single stock and ETF, which I'm currently working on right here. But as of right now, this is how the portfolio sits. Some of my largest positions are things like, of course, my 1,000 shares of Apple stock, which I've been holding for years now. I also have some pretty large positions in things like Verizon, Realty Income. I'm almost at 2,800 shares. Now, over the last 7 or so years, I've been building out a portfolio with a few things in mind. And like I said earlier, I think it's very important to have a specific strategy in mind when building out a long-term portfolio, because during the ups and downs, the day-to-day basis when it comes to investing, things can of course get kind of scary, especially during times of volatility when the market is dropping like a rock and you see your portfolio dipping. But I promise you, if you have a very specific strategy in mind and you stick to that strategy, it's going to be much, much easier. But overall, over the past 7 or 8 years now of my investing journey, I've been trying to consistently buy into high-quality different dividend-paying stocks and ETFs that have decent starting yields, or if not, have decent dividend growth. Now, as you can see throughout some of these names in the portfolio, there's definitely some names I might have wished I never bought in the first place. Like for example, my over 1,200 shares of Verizon stock, which I'm currently down pretty significantly on. My average cost basis is around $53 per share. And there's other names in here that I've done very well with, like of course my 1,000 shares of Apple stock, which I bought at around $118 per share. But over time, the way that I look at building out a long-term dividend growth portfolio, at least for me specifically, is that it's sort of just like a project that really never ends, and it just only gets better and better over time as you continue to mold it in that way. And over time, I also think it's important to note that certain names within this portfolio have been sold out, certain names have been added, but again, for a long-term portfolio, it's always a work in progress. The perfect portfolio doesn't exist in one day, in my opinion. And also important to note, the perfect portfolio isn't going to be the same perfect portfolio as maybe a different investor. It all depends on things like where you're at in life, where you're at in your investing journey, if you want to retire a little bit sooner, if you have a longer timeline ahead of you, etc., etc. So once again, before I go over my specific strategy, I really recommend all of you guys to sort of build out at least a basic framework of a strategy for you moving forward in your investing journey, because I promise you it's going to help. And also, it doesn't matter if over time your strategy changes. Things change over time, but just having a strategy and continuously molding it is very, very important. So like I said a second ago, my overall strategy up to this point has been to buy dividend-paying stocks and ETFs that either have a decent starting dividend yield or have substantial dividend growth. Now, over time, as I've been able to get my yearly dividends above my actual bills to this point, I've truly reached what you would call financial freedom. So at this point moving forward, I do have a little bit different of a strategy that I had in years past. Now, the strategy has definitely changed, considering that the majority of my daily buys now are going to things like the SCHD ETF or the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. Now, over the last year or so, I've been buying a few shares of SCHD every single day, whether it's green days, whether it's red days, consistently to the point to where now I have around 530 shares. And like I said, I haven't updated all this yet, so it says 490 right here. But I've been really focusing on a dividend ETF that does have some more potential to grow over time, because some of the other names in here like qyld or even things like jepi don't necessarily have all that much price appreciation potential. But I think that consistently buying a few shares of something like SCHD on a consistent daily basis over the next year or so could build out a position for this portfolio that might not necessarily pay the most cash flow during day one compared to some of these other positions, but buying SCHD long term can and will be a staple for this portfolio come say 5 or 10 years down the road. Now also another position that I've been aggressively trying to add more and more to is ticker symbol O, or realty income. And this is simply because I have a huge interest in investing into real estate. I do own some physical real estate outside of the stock market, outside of owning REITs, and I do want to have tons of exposure to real estate. I love the cash flow, I love the appreciation potential, and realty income, in my opinion, is just about as good as it gets. Now currently across all my portfolios, I think I'm around 2,800 shares of realty income, but over the next year or so, it'd be cool to get to like 3,300 or 3,400 shares altogether. And as of right now, my monthly dividend income from realty income alone is over $700, which is awesome. But again, longer term, maybe 1, 2, or 3 years from now, it'd be really cool to get past $1,000 per month just from ticker symbol O. Now, other than buying things like realty income and SCHD, there are a few other names that I want to keep adding to, things like the Devo ETF, which is pretty low beta and sort of just a really good sleep well at night ETF. That across all my portfolios, I think I probably have around 12 or 1,400 shares, I'm not exactly sure, but Devo has done pretty well and matches my exact strategy and what I'm looking for specifically. Now on top of that, I'm going to use some side money on a consistent basis to add more to some of my underweight positions, things like Altria Group. I'm not the most bullish on things like Altria and some of these other super high yielders, but I do think, again, with my personal strategy and where I'm at currently in my timeline, I think that loading up on maybe 100 or 200 more shares of things like Altria or some of these other generally higher yielders could definitely beef up the portfolio's dividend income with, of course, much less money. I also want to focus on more monthly payers in 2024, adding more to things like Main Street Capital, which I only have a few hundred shares of right now. I wouldn't mind having around 400 shares of Main Street Capital come the end of 2024. Then on top of that, maybe just a small amount of cash balance on a daily basis. I might add to more things like TSLY or even things like the Simplified Volatility Premium ETF, SVOL. And I'm always interested in some of the other super high yielding ETFs, but again, relative to the other portfolio, they are always going to make up a very, very small percentage. So just to recap for my strategy moving forward in 2024, I'm going to consistently buy 2 shares minimum of SCHD on a daily basis. That's no matter what, whether SCHD is trading at $60 per share, $80 per share, whatever it might be. I want to consistently add more SCHD to the portfolio because this portfolio, although there are some pretty high quality names, I want to really build out more bulletproof anchors in the portfolio. And I think the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF could be a perfect option. Then on top of that, I'm going to focus more on things like realty income, Main Street Capital, and other similar single stocks to those, but then also with a small portion of money buying into things like Tesla or SVOL or other yield max ETFs with a very, very small budget, just on the side for some more fun, sort of a gamble. Now, the amount of dividends I'm shooting for in 2024, then moving on to 2025, are probably going to look a little bit different, considering I am going to be deploying quite a bit of money on a consistent basis into a much lower starting dividend yield, something like SCHD. So my dividend income might not be shooting through the roof like it has in previous years because I'm not going to be focusing all that much money necessarily on super high yielding ETFs or stocks. But that being said, if you guys want to follow along my journey and see how the portfolio looks month over month or year over year, make sure to subscribe because I will be sharing all the behind the scenes of my buys and portfolio reviews pretty consistently. But last but not least, I want to hear from you guys down below when it comes to 2024 and your current portfolio goals and which stocks or ETFs you're planning on buying on a consistent basis. Drop your main goals in the comments down below and drop down some ticker symbols that you're going to be loading up on in 2024. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.